Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Chaz Frazier, joined alongside Colton Dodgson at Sun Devil Stadium, bringing you another edition of Chopping It Up with Chaz. Colton, we just sat through an hour-and-a-half long press conference where Ray Anderson introduced Herm Edwards as a new coach of over ASU football. What was your impression after that hour-and-a-half long press conference?
Well, incredibly passionate, and that's the kind of guy Herm Edwards is. You know, for his knocks, the fact that he hasn't been a coach since 2008, hasn't coached at the collegiate level since 1989. He comes in with seemingly a clear set of goals, what he wants to accomplish, albeit very lofty goals. They might not be within his reach very early on, but he comes in with a passion for this job. He made sure to mention that, and he is still at ESPN. He will finish up at ESPN on Wednesday, or Friday, excuse me, and then get back after it on Saturday, start with the recruiting trail and all of that. But he wanted to make sure to mention that he loved his time at ESPN, and it wasn't going to take just any job to get him back to coaching. He really liked being at ESPN, and the only reason he's here at Arizona State is because he feels this is the right fit and the right situation, and he feels that he can continue to build this culture that Todd Graham started to build. They made sure to mention that in the presser, that they really appreciate the culture that Todd Graham built. They just think Herm Edwards is going to be the guy to get him over the hump and get him to the next level. Whether that's the truth or not, only time's going to tell. But Herm Edwards is extremely passionate. That's what I took from that press conference, and he definitely has his goals in mind.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like you mentioned, Herm Edwards, we have to go back 10 years since he's been in the NFL, and then probably another decade.
1989.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's been a while.
He hasn't had any college involvement in a while. So what do you have to say to those fans out there that are kind of doubting him in the aspect of he hasn't been on a football field coaching in so long?
Yeah, well, his rebuttal to that is he feels like his work at ESPN, he's always been watching the game. He's been around the game. He's been doing all of that, staying involved in a coaching capacity in that respect. That's a little, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that you're prepared to be a coach just from your work as an analyst at ESPN.
Yeah.
However, I will say this, it's not going to fall squarely on his shoulders, all of this head coaching duty. He's going to meet with his coordinators, Phil Bennett and Billy Napier, who were retained from Todd Graham's staff. Yeah. They're already set in place. That's something he was excited about. He wants to work with them, figure out the DNA of the players they want to start bringing in here, what makes an ASU player tick, all those sort of things. And I don't think the learning gap is going to be super steep coming in and learning from those two guys, especially with the new system that they're trying to implement, this NFL type structure where he's got the support of everybody sort of in the front office, the other guys up there working, Ray Anderson, obviously, some of the other guys in those positions to help him out, help him out in running this team, excuse me. So I think when you hear the title head coach, you think so much responsibility. I think a lot of that responsibility has been diluted a little bit, and retaining those assistant coaches and having the support of the brass is going to help him tremendously.
Yeah, and during the press conference, they were talking about how he was going to serve as kind of a CEO and he was going to delegate the task. Now I want to move forward.
Yeah.
A year from now, this stadium, you can't see it, it's that way, but
There's
this
no grass either.
Exactly.
They're still building.
This is going to be full with fans. What can they expect? I know it's really early. He starts next Wednesday in the official position as the head coach. He's going to go out on the recruiting trail. But what can they kind of expect from Herm Edwards?
I don't think it's going to be so much Herm Edwards. I think it's going to be more Phil Bennett and Billy Napier picking up where they left off, with Herm Edwards sort of, guiding a little bit. The one thing that I took is Herm Edwards is a little more open and willing to share what's happening. I think he's going to be I think Todd Graham was excellent with the players. I think all of the players really respected Todd Graham, as seen by all of the outpour of support after Ray Anderson elected to fire Todd Graham. But I do think Herm Edwards is going to be able to get those performances out of those players as well. I think he's going to be able to relate to them and be somebody that they want to play for, somebody that they want to fight for in time. I don't think he's going to be as bad as people think he's going to be. Obviously, when it's definitely a strange hire considering he hasn't coached since 2008. We talked about that, but I still think given the situation that he's coming into, I already said it, it's not going to rest squarely on his shoulders, and I think he's the type of guy to inspire his players and get invoke those the solid performances out of them. So to answer your question, I don't think we're going to see any regression, to be completely honest with you. I think this team is going to look very similar to the way it did last year. I just think you know, Herm Edwards is going to be a little more conventional in the sense that he's going to get the ball to his playmakers. He's going to build a defensive scheme around his personnel, not the other way around, trying to plug players into defensive schemes that might not necessarily fit their talent level, which is something that Todd Graham struggled with in his last 2 years here. I think it's going to be one of those deals where they sort of pick up where they left off.
Yeah, one thing's for sure. During the press conference, Herm Edwards says football ignites his soul. It's going to be a busy spring and summer for this entire program. It's going to be interesting to see how everything unfolds. But for Colton Dodgson, I'm Chaz Frazier signing off from Sun Devil Stadium. We'll talk to you guys soon.